The surprising things about all these things, a lot of the things we all talked about, mortgages, sieves, derivatives, they were all known. They were not a secret out there. No one put it all together. There was no systemic regulator trying to look around the corner and say, well, if a money market fund has a problem, that's going to cause a problem for X. It's not a mystery. It's not a surprise that we know we have crises every 5 or 10 years. Mm-hmm. You know, my daughter called me from school one day and said, Dad, what's a financial crisis? And without trying to be funny, I said, it's the type of thing that happens every 5 to 7 years. And then she said, why is everyone so surprised? So we shouldn't be surprised, but we...
Okay, so the price of Bitcoin has been crashing down for about 2 weeks. I thought there was a recovery, but then more bad news came out, a combination of largely fake news about China banning Bitcoin exchanges. We don't really know what's going on in China. It's a communist government. Who the hell knows what they're doing? So this week I obviously made big losses, but hey, I made big gains since the last price correction, so I'm in a better position now than I was the last crash, and hopefully I'll be able to make a video before I go on holiday about how to profit during a bear market. So one of the more damaging event last week and what made the price go down is that the JP Morgan executive Jamie Dimon, how funny, Jamie Dimon the demon, came out and said that Bitcoin is a fraud and compared it to the tulip bubble, one of the famous market bubbles in history. And you know, whenever somebody compares Bitcoin to the tulip bubble, I say, do you know what? That's a fair comparison. If you want to make money trading Bitcoin, you need to understand bubbles. And yes, there are going to be times when the price of Bitcoin is inflated and it's going to crash. And there was going to be a market correction anyway, that's healthy, but it's now a crash because of this JP Morgan CEO, and he's quite an influential character. He is often referred to as one of the most influential men in the world. So if he comes out and slates Bitcoin, boom, the price is going to go down. And this is what we're going to have to put up with until market adoption. And if I was this guy and anybody around him, I would have bought Bitcoin, waited for it to go up, sold my Bitcoin, and make this statement. And we know that this is what people have been doing all over the summer. People buy Bitcoin when it goes up, they sell it, and then they do something to cause a crash. It's not a conspiracy, it's well known. So Max Kaiser from Russia Today responds, the US dollar, bond markets, and many property markets are in bubbles. Bitcoin and gold are the only financial assets not in bubbles. To say Bitcoin is fraudulent would like saying gold is fraudulent. Some might say this, but no rational person would agree. One of my favourite financial commentators, John McAfee, referred to Jamie Dimon as a crybaby who's afraid his banks will become obsolete. So it's fairly reasonable to take Jamie Dimon's business advice, because he's a successful businessman. I'm going to define successful as has made money. So exactly who is this guy, and is he a fraud, and should you trust him? Again, as I said, he's the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, one of the top 4 largest banks in America. He is a billionaire, and he earns tens of millions every year. Sounds like the kind of person that you would want to take financial advice from. Now, but who exactly are JP Morgan Chase? I mean, do any of you guys deal with JP Morgan Chase? Most people don't. And why don't you? Because they're a mega bank. They don't deal with ordinary people. They're a mega bank for mega rich people. That doesn't make them bad, But let's look at their history. JP Morgan had to pay a 13 billion mortgage settlement. It was it's the largest one of its kind in history because of its involvement in the financial crisis of 2007. Do you remember when everyone was getting really depressed about the system? And there was a huge crisis and a lot of jobs were lost. Well, what this guy did, and it's not a conspiracy theory, it's what he is being what they have been charged for, is that they were giving people bad financial advice and they made huge profits over people who couldn't afford houses. There was a government program to get poor people to buy mortgages, and all those people were screwed. And there was a huge bailout, and according to court case, JP Morgan they knew what they were doing, and they made billions off of intentionally giving people bad financial advice. So these people are intentionally giving people bad financial advice, and we know it, and they've been charged for it, and yet they're still making tens of millions, or he is himself making tens of millions every year. And it's not just that. It's not just a one-off case. They were also involved in the Enron fraud. And Bernie Madoff says that the JP Morgan executive knew of his fraud. They had 20 years to stop Bernie Madoff and the fraud that he was involved in, and they chose not to. So yes, Jamie Dimon is a successful businessman in terms of money, but he doesn't earn his money ethically, like a Bitcoin trader does. So everyone needs to do their own research. Which system do you have more faith in, the central banking system or the Bitcoin revolution? Well, congratulations to Donald Trump for reducing the American debt by the biggest amount ever in history, by $200 billion. That sounds like a great achievement, but now the US debt has surpassed the historic level of 20 trillion. Right? 20 trillion minus 200 billion is still is still more than $19 trillion. So this system is not working, and Bitcoin is the future. If I had a lot of cash, I'd be looking into buying in Bitcoin again. Of course, I will be over the weekend, because this is temporary. And as I said, I will try to make a video at some point on how to profit from a bear market. Previously, I had made a video about a price correction versus a crash. You should watch that, but by my definition, I'm referring to this downturn in the price as a crash. And if you want to get my updates as soon as possible, find my Twitter account, Facebook account, my Facebook page, and I post more information on steemit.com/@responsive than I do YouTube. And if you find this information useful, please donate Bitcoin. Live free, because we don't really have another great option.
You put your savings in the bank. We like to think that the bank uses this money to give loans to businesses. But this means that the money never grows because it only changes hands. And yet the fact is that in the Netherlands alone, this amount increases by 30 billion euros each year. How is the money created? The banks created. Example, you're an entrepreneur with a good plan, but with no money. You want the bank to give you a €100,000 loan. What does the bank do? It doesn't wait for a customer to arrive at the back door and hand over a bag of money to put in a savings account. Instead, the bank creates money by recording a new credit worth €100,000 in your name, money that wasn't there before. It also records a €100,000 debt by simply entering a couple of numbers into the computer. That's all it takes to create new money. But is it real money? It's only a couple of figures typed into a bank computer, isn't it? Yes, it's money all right. Most money we have is nothing more than a couple of figures existing only in bank computers. We carry some inside our purses, but most money is electronic. You can use loan money to pay the bill or spend it at a supermarket. It's used for buying and selling things. It circulates in the economy. This money is very real. That's how banks create money, by giving out loans. In a sense, money is the same as debt. If we were to pay off all debts, there'd be very little money left. Since 2000, the banks have created more money than ever before, most of it in the form of mortgage debts. This is what links the creation of money to the debt crisis. When it comes to mortgage debts, the Netherlands are worldwide #1. It's one of the reasons why so much new money was created. In 1982, approximately 100 billion euros circulated. Today, it's 800 billion.